What's up, sports fans? I'm Lawrence Faulkner.
I'm Kyle Johnstone, and this is DuckU Sports.
The Oregon baseball team hosted the 20th ranked UCLA Bruins this past weekend, and the Ducks were looking to make a statement and get themselves back in the race for a postseason berth. In the second, Casey Cerna puts the green and yellow in great position with this single. Runners on first and second, but none of them would score. Following a Brett Hambright pop-up, J.J. Altabelli hits a dribbler back to the pitcher to end the inning. No harm for the Bruins. Then in the top of the third, Bruins leading 1-0, and Tyler Anderson's pickoff throw goes awry, allowing the runners to go all the way to third. He would later score on a pass ball, making it 2-0 UCLA. Now bottom six, Oregon trailing 4-0, and Aaron Jones' ground ball scores Ryan Healy from third to cut the Bruin lead to 3. Bottom nine, Bruin lead back to 4, and Pat Valleca shoots this one to the opposite field to drive in 2 more as the Bruins go on to win by a final of 7-1.
Saturday's game was a pitcher's duel as Duck starter Madison Bohr and Bruin starter Trevor Bauer combined for 17 Ks, 12 of them belonging to Bohr in his complete game 4-hit effort. But what's a baseball game without a little offense, as Ryan Healy sends this one into orbit in the fourth, tying the game at 1. It was Healy's second big fly of the year. He would finish the game 2 for 3 with a walk and an RBI. Healy has now recorded a hit in each of his last 8 games. But unfortunately for the Ducks, in the fifth, with runners at second and third, Bruins second baseman Kevin Williams drills this one up the middle to score 2 as the Bruins scrape out a 3-1 victory over the Ducks.
Coming off a Road Series victory over the 9th-ranked Wildcats, Ducks softball game came home to host the 10th-ranked Stanford Cardinal this past weekend. On Friday, Oregon was held to only 3 hits as Stanford starter Tegan Gerhardt struck out 14 and walked only 2 in her complete game effort as the Cardinal beat the Ducks 4-1. Saturday, however, was a different story for the Ducks. Oregon would manage to pound out 7 hits behind the 2-hit performance of Monique Fuyava. Duck starter Jessica Moore pitched a complete game, striking out 8 and walking only 1 on the way to her 19th win of the season. Oregon put away every pitcher they could in the circle on Sunday to try and confuse the Cardinal, and it worked. The result? A 4-2 win to steal the series and maintain a 500 conference record. Oregon heads into its final homestand against reigning national champs UCLA beginning this Friday. And with more on Oregon baseball, we're going to kick it over to Lexi Olson, Tyler Owen, and Richard Stutzman.
Thanks, guys. I'm Lexi Olson, and this is Tyler Owen and Richard Stutzman. Ducks baseball looked like they were going to have a promising season, but unfortunately, it's taken a turn for the worse. This last weekend, they got swept by UCLA. Why do you think this season is so lacking this year?
Well, first, the Ducks offense is struggling. They're hitting 236 as a team. You're not going to win many games hitting 236. They've only hit 13 home runs in more than 40 games. The offense really needs to pick it up if the Ducks want to win.
And the reason they're 500 is because the pitching staff is doing a pretty good job. Only a 2.82 ERA and 397 strikeouts on the year and just over 400 innings of work. So the pitching is doing their part for this season.
All right, well, on a brighter note, softball is doing much better, and we are having quite a good season.
The softball team's 500 in conference play. They're well over 500. They got off to a hot start this season. They're going to continue that into the playoff tournament. It's looking good for Oregon softball.
Yeah, coming off 2 wins over Stanford they were looking good. They have another home series this week. Hopefully we do well in Pac-10 tournament and can carry that on to the NCAAs.
2 series in a row they've won 2 series in a row against top 10 teams, so things are looking good.
All right, well, go girls, and back to you.
Thanks, guys. Let's check out how track did this last week. At the Oregon Twilight, former Duck Ashton Eaton receives the Jim Thorpe All-Around Award in front of a rain-soaked crowd at Hayward Field. To the events, the 100-meter dash featured Duck football players Kenyon Barner and LaMichael James. James finishes first in his heat and third overall with a time of 10.7 seconds. In the men's 4x100, the dual-sport athletes work together. James takes the baton from Barner, and with the lead, who's going to catch him? James, Barner, Brian Harper, and Dior Mathis coast by Spokane CC with a time of 41.9 seconds. If someone's good, more is better, right? Senior Mandy White jumps out of the gates to an early lead. Anchor Jamesha Youngblood brings home first place for her team. Final time, 44.87 seconds. In the 1500, Ethiopian Boruk Yoda knows good pacing. The freshman distance runner doesn't take the lead until the final 100 meters, but his first place time of 3 minutes 47.4 seconds beats his personal record by 2 seconds.
Well, that's all we have tonight. Be sure to tune in next week for full baseball highlights.
He's Lawrence Faulkner. I'm Kyle Johnstone. See you next week. Stay tuned for more DuckU.